it's Jess the Ska Kid and the Knights of the Round Table, and on the phone with us this evening is Andii. Hello, Andii.
Hello.
So to get things started, so that our viewers and listeners know, you are, Andii, a singer-songwriter from, is it Milwaukee?
Yep, yeah, Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Awesome.
Born and raised.
And so we initially, when we talked, you sent us Bandcamp and a few other things to listen to, but your Bandcamp is from 2016. So how long have you been playing music, and kind of give us the history of your progression, because the new stuff you sent has like a full band behind it.
Yeah, so 2016 would have been the last EP that I released, Life as It Goes. I've been performing, I would say, like, with intent to be a career musician for probably 5 or 6 years now. And I have been playing, though, since, like, I was 15, so almost 10 years, 11 years now. I mostly just started out as a hobby, and it all kind of started because I had learned, basically through a series of health issues that I had, that I would am likely going to lose my natural ability to hear at a pretty young age. So when I found that out, it was kind of like now or never, like do or die. I kind of decided that I just wanted to give music a real shot and teach myself. That was like just over a decade ago now that I've kind of been pushing myself to do that, and just slowly more and more trying to emerge in the Milwaukee scene here. Especially the last couple of years, I've been trying to be a little bit more of like a community member in the music scene here. It's been just kind of a very slow progression over the last decade, but definitely happy to still kind of be around and doing music for sure.
So why singer-songwriter initially and not full band, and what has led you now with your upcoming single release to be a full band? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think, initially it's just easier to coordinate with yourself, because you rely on yourself, you book your own shows, certainly there's a community vibe, but when it comes to just music as a business and what you're prepared to put into it, being solo, I think, can sometimes just be a little less to coordinate and a little less dramatic, but it's also a lot lonelier. And so the sound that you produce on stage, there are certainly really amazing musicians who have great software and they have great gear and they can really put on a great one-person show. But unfortunately, that's just not what I can do with my ukulele. And so when I decided that I really wanted to start putting a bigger sound together, particularly with this next EP, it really just started with production, honestly, on the EP, and we just put full band on it. And as we were working more and more on it, I realized, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to put this out there as work, but not be able to perform it the same way. Because I think when you release something, there's a certain expectation that it can kind of be performed the same way. So once that started to get a little bit more serious, and there was definitely going to be full band production, I started to reach out to some friends and some colleagues in the scene that were going to be able to back me up. So I'm really excited because live, going forward, I think it's going to be a lot more of a full band setup at my shows rather than just solo from now on. But yeah, mainly just bigger sound and having a bigger sense of community with other musicians to back you up is it's so much more special than just being solo. So.
You had said that moving forward with having a full band ensemble, and them being friends and such, where did you select, I guess, your musicians from? Are they in other bands, or were these other singer-songwriters that you were like, hey, you do this really well, will you join me in this effort?
It was kind of a mixture of that, yeah, I would say. I have the great privilege of being able to sit in with a couple of bands here in Milwaukee, one called Hard Cheddar. And so I was able to meet a couple of great musicians that way, to kind of reach out and ask, hey, would you be a part of this project? I also work at a music store, so I have great access to a lot of the teachers there. So I was able to kind of secure the person that was going to do drums for me through the store that I work at, and then another was a dear friend of mine, John Rouse. I do the ground floor stage with at Summerfest, and asked him if he'd be willing to step in. So it's just kind of a smattering of some really dear friends. Others are newer friends that getting to help out. So it's kind of nice to have a mixture of people for sure.
So moving forward, any upcoming shows you have, will those people who we are going to hear on that Spoon-Fed Women special release here on Jess the Ska, will they be performing with you, or will you have to also have them back up and other fill-in people to perform live with?
Ideally it'll be, I'd like to just kind of stick with the backing band that I put together, and it'll be a little subjective. I think there will be still some live shows that will be a little bit more stripped down, and they'll just be solo. But certainly bigger shows, I think the bigger venues, the goal is to, from now on, to just be able to have that backing band, particularly throughout like the autumn months as well, just going out of the release into fall, being able to form it with a backing band is definitely going to be the main goal, because that'll be the sound, hopefully, that most people are hearing by that point.
You had mentioned, that you're a ukulele player, and so far, I can't say that we've had just a singer-songwriter who sings and plays uke. So, why that instrument, and what drew you to doing that instrument? It's kind of a mixture of necessity in terms of needing to just adapt to some circumstances with my left arm, which is the arm that I use to do much of the chord formations and things, and then I strum with my right. And then it was also just a mixture of love for the instruments. I started on guitar initially, and kind of through, so along with all of my music stuff, I kind of, on the side, just like life-wise, have dealt with just some health stuff on and off throughout my life. And so one of the things that I have had to grapple with is the atrophying of my left arm. So over time, I've just kind of lost the ability to do certain things. And so even with a steel string guitar, having played it for as long as I had, I was beginning to kind of lose the ability to hold down the string tension and form the chords with 6 strings. And so kind of during that time when I was starting to backslide a little bit, I saw this great artist, Vance Joy, open up the rave for someone, and he's just this like brilliant, like delightful, tall Australian man that played this tiny little ukulele. But I had never actually seen a baritone ukulele until that point, so I went home and I researched it, and within a few days I had picked one up. And the appeal of it is that it's actually the same tuning as a regular guitar. It's just missing the low E and the A. So the 4 highest strings are still there. You can use pretty much the same chord formations, but obviously the string tension much less because it's just nylon. So it was a way to kind of stick to something that was very familiar to me, while also being able to introduce something new for sure. So, you've mentioned now a few times that your health has kind of started to get in the way of music, but you seem to continue to overcome and be resilient. So, it sounds like, not to be so personal or pry, but that sounds like something that would continue to limit you? Do you can see yourself, regardless, continuing to overcome, and at some point, if you can't play, having other people continue to fill in and you just sing until you can't do this anymore?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's kind of the other motivating factor to finding a backing band. Just the evident awareness that I'm gonna beat against the drum as long as possible, but there are gonna be things that I start to lose the ability to do. So that's why I've been actually really grateful to be able to fit in with other bands, even just doing fun covers and things like that, because it's kind of opened up this new door of performative art for me that isn't behind an instrument. So it's actually been a great learning process, having to kind of let go a little bit of that need or that ability to play an instrument to create. But at the same time, it's certainly, I think, as musicians who are also instrumentalists, even if you're, I'm not a particularly gifted instrumentalist, but I think that there is a point of pride being able to still play that instrument. So I'll certainly do it for as long as I can. And when I can't anymore, I'm lucky enough, I think, to have built a supporting system that hopefully people will be able to step in for me when I can't. But it's certainly my health, coming into play with my music it's sort of this catch-22, because I think without the hardships I've experienced, I don't think I would be an artist or a musician. But at the same time, I think it's also those hardships that are like the reason that I need it almost. So it's a driving factor, but it also is very cathartic for me to be able to express myself musically still.
That kind of leads me to my next question then. When you sit down to compose a piece, currently, it's kind of like you're doing a dual sort of job, it sounds like, where you still do have your solo stuff but are transitioning now into a full piece. How does your music come to life? What is your muse? Like, when you're doing the singer-songwriter thing, where does your lyrical content or your musical content come from? And what type of transition then is it now, writing and having other people play that, or are they feeding back and giving you other ideas now and it's becoming a more collaborative sort of thing?
Yeah, it definitely starts, I would say, like, very personally, just because most of, I think pretty much all of what I've written comes from, personal experience, a story, or a personal feeling. So usually when it comes to just right out of the gate writing something, it kind of just begins from the truth, which sounds kind of like hokey to say that I start with that. But, for me, it's most important that I say what, I need to say. And so from there, I come up with a chord formation and the lyrics and everything. And then after I've kind of decided what it is that I need to say, I think from there, I decide, compositionally what I would like to happen. And I go to my producer and we record it and we kind of talk through what would sound good. So most of the production happens in the recording booth. And then from there, we actually take it to the musicians, and I've been able to practice with a couple of them in preparation for the show and just introduce the material. And then from there, I love and encourage the musicians that I work with always to feel the freedom to be able to just kind of riff and explore. I'm not necessarily someone that something has to be performed the same way twice. I love improvisation and musicians being able to kind of build off that. So it more just kind of starts, I think, with what needs to be said, and then from there, as musicians just collaborate and add to it, it kind of becomes something of its own. So I don't know, it's kind of a give and a take. The recordings sort of inform a little bit of what the band needs to do, but at the same time, I think there's a lot that just the band intuition-wise is great at. So kind of goes back and forth, if that makes sense. I don't know if that totally answers the question, but
you're good. But the way that you described that, unlike other people that we've had on this show, where either they are just themselves or they're a band, you now saying that you have a producer and that you do this a lot in the studio first, you're almost bringing a different level of professionalism than anybody else that we've kind of talked to before, where they're doing it in practice and then recording. So talk to us about the recording process and your producer. Where are you going to record your stuff, and are you putting it out yourself, or how does that recording and then making sure the world has your music process go?
Yeah, so I actually am going to a great friend of mine, Andrew Lynch, and he just does production he's done some of his own production. He's done some stuff for a few bands that he's a part of. Currently, he's the drummer in Dear Karma, and then I think a couple other projects. But so we had met, it had to be like over a year ago now. We were both on the same bill, and he'd heard Spoon-Fed Women and came up to me and was like, hey, I really like this song. I would love to just try and produce it. I just like doing this on the side. If you hate it, you don't have to use it. Just let me know what you think. So I was just kind of like, what have I got to do? So we got together, we tracked the song, and I came back in a couple weeks, and we listened through it, and it was unlike anything I had ever really heard my music sound like before, but it still sounded like me. And so I really loved the direction that he went with it. And so from there, I just said, hey, look, I would love to hire you to just do my whole EP. So that was kind of, we went from there. That was back in January or February now that I initially just said, hey, let's do this for real. So, probably once or twice a month, I would go out, to his studio that he just has at his house, and we would track a new song. We'd kind of talk about what we wanted on it. And every few weeks I'd come back, we'd listen to it, we'd tweak it. I'd, give it a little time and go back and tweak it. So it's been a nice process overall, just being able to kind of step away from it, have someone else do the production for it, have someone else use their ears and their talents, and being able to come back, and, give a thumbs up or say, hey, maybe change this, or yeah, that's great. I've tried producing my own stuff before, but it's, in terms of having a great full band sound, it's just not my gift. So it was awesome to be able to find someone that believes in my music and is really passionate about it, but also has like the wherewithal and the knowledge to be able to make it sound great.
So on Tuesday, to further compliment you, the people who did listen to that, I got a lot of positive feedback that was really good and they really liked you. They were excited about tonight. And I have to say it was very well produced. When do you anticipate releasing that?
The goal is that it's actually going to be released hopefully by the end of this month, because I'm going to be going into my Summerfest run. So to have that released near the end of the month is going to be really great, just because it'll be nice momentum, and it's something that I'll be able to kind of announce throughout Summerfest. It's just sort of the timing and everything of getting it mastered and then getting it sent through, post-production to streaming and stuff like that. But we're closing in. We're really close. We just had to wrap. Essentially, the goal was to wrap the rest of the EP so that it can all get mastered together. Otherwise, if you get one mastered before, sometimes it doesn't sound quite right. So the goal, though, is this end of the month, and then the EP will be the end of August. So.
And, with that EP, how many songs are we talking?
It's only 4. I wish it was more. I know my one in 2016 was, I think, 6 songs. With them being full band, I decided that I wanted to concentrate a little bit more on each one, rather than, the quality over quantity, I guess. So So the goal is it'll just be 4, and then hopefully, if this can kind of blossom into a full-length album, there would probably be about 8 to 10 songs on that, which would all be fully produced with bands.
So with your goal of releasing the one single by the end of this month and then an EP later this summer, will people be able to purchase said things like as a CD? Are you going to make them physical copies for people since you are starting this Summerfest run?
Yeah, so the goal is that I'm gonna, with my 2016 EP, I actually, I did this DIY CD packaging thing that I might end up doing again this year, just for time's sake. But it's kind of cool. I learned this from some other band, like back when I lived in Springfield for a short time in Illinois, and this band, they did like a brown paper bag EP where they took this lunch bag and they dropped the CD in there because it fits perfectly into a brown paper lunch bag, and you just fold it over twice. And then what I did is I printed out these 4x4 album covers basically from Walgreens, and I slapped it on the cover, and so it was this cool little DIY CD case. So I think I'll probably do that again as just kind of a fun, like, exclusive thing to grab. As far as the EP goes, though, that one's actually going to be the first time that I send it through to full production, and we're going to have cool jackets for it and everything. So Summerfest, mostly you'll just be able to find that kind of exclusive 2016 EP, and then I'll have download cards for my single.
So,
and then the physical CDs you'll be able to get in August.
So I want to ask, because I do ask everybody, and it would seem that DIY kind of has this fluid, it means different things to people. When you are talking about digitally streaming your stuff, are you going to go through a distributor, or are you going to do it yourself where you post it on like Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so the plan is I'll basically to just completely self-release it. I'm going to put it on Bandcamp for sure. But I use CD Baby as my resource generally for distribution. So it'll be kind of a twofold release. It will likely be available on Bandcamp first, just because that's the one that is sort of in my control. I can just post it and there it is. And then shortly after would be, Spotify, iTunes release, because all that happens through CD Baby. So that would be kind of the goal, to do both. I may put it on SoundCloud. I have some older stuff on SoundCloud, but I haven't updated it, and so I've sort of been grappling with whether or not I want to put some of my newer stuff on there as well for people to stream. But yeah, so it'll be kind of a smattering all over.
So I preface this because it is a soapbox issue of mine. So fair warning, I talk about it with almost every single human that I come in contact with. Why do you go through CD Baby instead of posting it yourself and submitting it to these other platforms, just like you do on Bandcamp and SoundCloud and such things?
Honestly, I think I just started out with it when I did like my first release ever. I think I was like still in high school at the time, and I ended up putting 2 songs on iTunes or something like that. So I'll be honest, it's just sort of like what I've always used. But I know that there's definitely some iffy things in terms of just like being able to, if you just self-release it, it's a little bit more direct contact, I think, with artists. So that's why I prefer things like Bandcamp. I always encourage people when they want to buy my EPs to just go to Bandcamp directly, because that's, pretty much all of that when they're purchasing it goes directly to an artist, whereas you could stream my song 500 times on Spotify, and I'm not really going to see any of that. So, it's kind of more, I think I've just done it because I feel like that's the easiest way to just get distribution over with. But I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm just a little, I think, ignorant to different ways to release it without doing it that way.
Well, lucky for you, we've done some research and we have found out that you can post all of those things and submit them yourself to all of those major digital platforms. It does take some hunting and pecking. If you wanted information, I did find links to post them because I did the research and was like, how do we do this? If you have a SoundCloud account, regardless if it's new, updated, etc., as long as you exist there and you submit to Spotify, that's the streaming method that they utilize as far as validity to post onto their Spotify.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so...
that's so good to know.
Yay! So the more you know. I'm a big proponent of doing it yourself completely for lots of reasons, because as I've gotten older, I guess, I'm all about smash the state and be your own thing. But I do want to take the music industry back by giving the power back to those musicians. When you utilize a distributor and you pay them and they post your shit, they do get the, larger percentage of those royalties, even if however many people buy it on iTunes or whatever, you get 40 cents to whatever dollar. But the main thing, and I think the crux of my issue is that it's a publishing right thing. So if you ever said, hey, I don't want this out here, or I want to put it somewhere else, because you have given it to someone, you have sold your stuff to them, they own it. And so if you decide to take it down, they might not necessarily take it down because they own it. Or when we play it, the copyright gets flagged to them and it says the royalties go to CD Baby. So if we can, if we can help you with that, let us know.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure. All the resources, because I definitely do think that we are at this really empowering time as a music industry where we can decide. But I think it's just, there are a lot of people out there like me that are like, oh, well, I want to distribute it, so I guess this is how I do it. So it's always good to run into people that are like, no, wait, there's a different way.
I mean, for me, you have a good product, so don't give somebody else that power. And I also don't like being told no or that I've lost anything, because if it's my own idea, goddammit, why are you making money off of me? So
yeah, very true.
Any way that we can help, we will. And really how we came to find out about that, we had done some research on our own anyway, and then we got contacted from a band in Indiana who had signed with a label. They used Sony Distributing, and then Sony decided to drop the label contract, so they lost all their music. They messaged us in the middle of the night to ask how they could get their stuff to post it again, and I was like, you can't, because they bought your stuff. So, yes, if you...
That's so sneaky! Oh my goodness.
I know, and that's how Big Brother gets you, man. Stop fucking buying into it. But, that being said, again, afterwards or when you get close to doing that, if you want links and stuff, let us know and we'll send you that stuff too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally welcome that. Absolutely. That would be great information to have.
So I do want to talk to you about some of your events. I know that you have Summerfest coming up, which is huge, but you also just did Pride Fest. Am I correct?
Yes, yeah.
So I want to talk to you about how you book your shows and how are you getting kind of these big ticket, opportunities.
Sorry, I'm only laughing because the Pride Fest story is, it's just a total case of a musician that is like, I was just on a mission. So this was back in probably January. I would say this is probably the year I've played out the most, that I've been most proactive and really hunted down gigs. So sometime in January, I was thinking about all of the summertime gigs. And so with Summerfest, I have just, the absolute blessing of being able to work with John Rouse at the ground floor stage. So I am kind of very, very assistant stage hand. So I help run the sound for all the other bands and musicians, kind of hold down the fort if someone needs to go get food or something like that. So that I just kind of fell into because I am great friends with the folks that do that. And I kind of, am one of the few people that runs the stage for all the other musicians. With the Pride Fest, however, I had decided I really wanted to play. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. So I just started. I went online and I looked at the stage, like the map of all the stages from 2018. And I looked at all the names and I saw a women's spot lounge. And I was like, that's me. I'm a lady. Let's start there. So I Google searched the stage name. I found this article. And it was an interview with Sarah Tybring, who is one of the coordinators for the stage, or I think maybe even like the main booking person for the stage. So sure enough, I found her email, and then I just sent an email, and I said, hey, I would really love to perform at this stage. It's like the community seems really great. And they got back to me. I had sent them my music and everything. They got back and they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you. So it was kind of just a stroke of luck and determination to kind of hunt down the right contact. And sometimes I tell that story to people and I'm like, don't give up, just try. Send the email. Sometimes they won't send one back, but sometimes they will.
And that's all you have to keep doing. Your whole story is that of resiliency. So I applaud you. Hats off, Andii.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
It's refreshing to hear. I mean, you know, we have a lot of people who are full bands who are even lost in doing a lot of stuff. But as you just said, keep trying. Shoot messages out. Google shit. Do things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that was essentially what I spent most of the beginning of my year doing, because every summer I realized that I was just sitting on my butt over winter time because it's sad, it's depressing, and no one wants to go outside. Mm-hmm. So I would never send those emails, which a lot of times that's when you need to be sending those emails for summertime gigs if they're, you know, the bigger venues. So yeah, I decided this year to just, you know, I sent probably, I don't know, like 25 emails over, you know, like January, February. And I mean, less than half of them got back to me, but they turned out to be really great opportunities, you know, so you never know. I submitted to a festival in Colorado and I didn't get that one, but I got Pride, so.
Hey. Yeah, so how were you received at Pride Fest? What was the crowd like, and what was that experience like?
It was a really great experience. It was actually my first time ever going to Pride to begin with, so even just like rolling up to the gates, it was just kind of like emotional. I was like, it's really cool to be here for the first time. So yeah, and I got in there, I got my pass and everything. I played fairly early in the day. I played at 4:30, so, and it was a Friday, so folks were just kind of, I think, getting in from work and stuff like that. But I had a pretty good crowd. The stage was, I'm not sure which lounge it was, but I mean, you know, those buildings that are across from like Miller Lite Oasis and stuff, and
yes.
They're like the VIP lounges.
Yes, directly like in the center of the Summerfest grounds. Yeah.
So I was, that was where the stage was, kind of in this like VIP area. So it was nice to have some shade and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there was like, it fluctuated. There was anywhere from, you know, a few people to like a dozen or so that kind of trickled through. I had some dear friends come out and see me, so that was really great. And I mean, everyone at the Women's Spot Lounge, all the staff was just phenomenal. They were so wonderful. So it was all around a really great experience. I think if I'm able to play next year, I would love to kind of play a later set and stick around a little bit. But that day I played from 4:30 to 5:30, and then I actually had to leave and go to Glacier Valley Music Festival in Cambria, which was the same weekend. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of from Pride Fest to Glacier Valley.
That kind of being said, if you do that next year, will it be a full band?
Oh, I would love for it to be. I had small hopes that it would be this year, because I think we ended up officially booking everything beginning of April. And I remember filling out my contract, and they were asking, how many people are going to be on stage, and how many people are in your group? And I was like, I really want to write. I really want to write that I'm going to have a band, and then just figure it out. but I opted to just go solo because I didn't know if I'd be able to throw something together in time. But definitely next year, my goal is to have a full band.
So currently, how often are you playing out?
I would say between, just doing my solo stuff and then, like I said, sometimes I sit in with some local bands as well. I'm gigging almost every weekend now that summer has started. Sometimes every other. Like this weekend, tomorrow, I'll be at the Up and Under on Brady in Milwaukee. And that is one where I'll actually be playing my own solo set, my own stuff, and then the band that goes on after me, I'm actually going to be sitting in with and doing vocals. So it just kind of depends.
So then, looking forward, let's talk about your upcoming events. Go ahead and plug where people can find you live and, live and in person.
Yeah, so that gig at the Up and Under is going to be tomorrow at 10 p.m. It's a fun little bar. I have a good time there. And then, what is after that? Next Thursday is actually, or next Friday, the 21st, I believe, is it's actually an international event called Make Music Day.
Ooh.
And the music store that I work for is kind of the main Milwaukee sponsor right now. But I think it's like maybe been going on for 30 or 40 years. It started in France. And the whole idea is that you just make music all day long. So what Make Music Day, the organization does is they encourage both venues and performers to apply on their website. And it's a matchmaking service. So certain venues will look for certain genres of performers. And then you match up with those venues. And the goal is to just have music in the city all day long. So I'm going to be doing kind of a mini tour. I'm going to be doing a set for some folks at a retirement home, and then I'll be going to a library, and then I've got a gig at Lakefront Brewery that day, and then I'll be ending my day with an hour-long set on River West Radio,
Wow.
which you can stream online. It's a local station here, but you can find it online. So yeah, that's going to be a really big day. Definitely just in general, not even just for my sake, but I would definitely look around for what's going to be going on June 21st. It's something that we're trying to really get going here in Milwaukee, and there's cities all over the country and cities all over the world that do stuff for it. So I'm really excited to be a part of that again this year. And then after that, the next big thing is going to be Summerfest. So I've got specific dates, set times that I should know by heart that I don't, but they are on my Facebook page. So I think I've got 5 concrete set times at the ground floor stage this year. And then July 4th at 1 p.m., I'll be actually at the Rebel stage at Summerfest. So I'm really excited to kind of hop over to that stage as well. And then all throughout the fest, I do pop-up performances all around the ground. So it's just kind of, I'm planning on, I think, doing this cool contest/game this year, where in the fest is Andii. So I'm going to take a picture, be like, all right, I'm performing here. If you come find me, I'll give you a free, whatever, so that I can kind of drive people to come see me around the grounds.
I like
that.
Those
are the main things.
So when can people, those are all just you, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything scheduled for July and August? And when do you anticipate transitioning into people can see the full band to see Spoon-Fed Women played as it is recorded?
The full band debut is going to be, I plan for it to just be the EP release, and then kind of from there, as the band is available, I'm going to start booking gigs beyond that, hopefully with full bands. It's kind of always like a bit of a juggling act, because you always want to make sure that the people that are signing on are going to be well taken care of at the end of the night too, just with getting paid and stuff. So it kind of has to be a little strategic that way, depending on where I book things. But the goal is that the first time everyone will see the band is going to be end of August. My tentative, the place that I'm booking it, is going to be Walker's Point Music Hall. It's a great hall here in Milwaukee that, they've been open for a while now. They are at the location where the old Club Gibraltar was. And so it's a really great scene, a lot of fun playing there, and they've got this great stage in the back. It's kind of two stages, one that's sort of right next to the bar, and then you can also go through this door that's an actual concert hall kind of. So that'll be that's my vision, is that everyone's going to see the band for the first time there, and then from there expectations will be high, I'm sure, to get the band pretty much as possible after that.
So this kind of does lead me to my next question. So when you're playing out and you're booking these shows, are you playing primarily with similar genre to humans, or are you playing mixed genre shows? Like, we have a friend, Old Wolves, who he opens for almost every fucking show possible, and even when he's the headliner, there's other genre type musicians tied in. Do you stick to one genre, or are you branching out and doing a lot of other sorts of genres when you do these shows?
I really love to mix genres. I mean, I think that there are some shows that I've put together that I've just personally booked with bands, where I try to make it a little bit more of like a cohesive, hey, everyone that you're going to hear tonight is kind of in the same vein. But I also, I hate showing up to shows where everyone's really, really talented, but because you've sort of booked them all and they're all in the same genre, I think sometimes it can get a little tiring. And then even though they're all really, really great performers, to the people that came, it can kind of be like, oh, this is all the same, when it's not, but that's just how it's perceived. So I love playing with different genres. I don't necessarily have to play with, another acoustic kind of folky musician. I've played with all sorts of genres. I remember I played an acoustic showcase, and there was me, and then there was a folk punk guy that did a set, which, very different. But it was just kind of fun to see the smattering of genres on that bill. And also I think it tends to draw a different crowd too, right? Because you have that person from that particular scene coming out, and they're bringing their fans and their friends and introducing them to new music, just like the people that came out to see me are now being able to see this folk punk artist that maybe they would have never gone to just go see by themselves. So I really love mixing genres for sure.
So I have way more questions than time is allotted. But I do want to give you a chance to talk about what platforms work for you, where people can find you online, and what types of merch you have available.
Yeah, so the biggest places that you can find me are going to be Bandcamp. And what's available on there, obviously, right now is just my 2016 EP. And you can also find me on Facebook, so just my Facebook page, Andii. And then Instagram. I'm really trying to drive my Instagram right now. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because I think different platforms draw different, even just generational interests, or people. So, but I am on Instagram as well, just Andii and then _music. And then right now for merch, I actually just have like a butt ton of free stickers that I hand out at every show. And it just says, "I'm not a spoon-fed woman" on the stickers. Yeah, I'll have to send you guys some. I'll put them in the mail this week. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. I like it. It works on all levels because, you know, no one's a spoon-fed, no one wants to be a spoon-fed woman, so.
When we played your single, I had to like look over and rub my tummy. I'm like, I'm spoon-fed though. Because, anyways, I mean, like, metaphorically, no, but, like, maybe literally, yes, I like to eat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. Definitely, I am all about the grub. I definitely do spoon feed myself, like, lots of delicious things.
That's gotta be the follow-up. I spoon feed myself, woman. But, like,
right.
put appropriate punctuation so there's a comma.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
That got really nerdy. Why Instagram? Like, out of all the mediums we're on, I hate Instagram. Not that I'm a really horrible, like, let's take pictures of things person. Because,
sure.
A, I don't know what I'm taking pictures of, to be quite fucking honest with you. And B, I get weird, like, Kif records and does all of our sound and things like that because when we go to a show, I feel it's rude to whip my phone out and start taking pictures of things because
sure, yeah.
I feel like it's like a movie theater. I'm glowing and I'm interrupting other people's viewing, even though they're also on their phones. I'm like, what? Like, why are we doing this? And also, I don't feel like I have the credentials to take pictures of stuff. And like, so why Instagram?
She doesn't. That's why I do it.
I think for Facebook, I use it a lot more as just like, hey, like, these are my shows, come on out, like, and I post some stuff on there that's just like, hey, this is my life, but for the most part, I keep it pretty, like, this is just music. Whereas with my Instagram, I think that one's a little bit more of like, hey, like, this is sort of my life. Like, I'm a musician, but I am also a gardener. Or I also knit things, or I also have a really crazy cat that bites my toes at 2 a.m. Like, so, like, I think for me, Instagram is sort of this outlet to sort of say, like, hey, like, this is my life, I'm a person, and so I'm not on there, you know, like, every day posting, like, you know, here's my morning cup of coffee. I think, like, that can be a little excessive, but, you know, like, I finished my garden bed the other day, and I took a picture and kind of shared how, like, my great love of plants came from my grandmother who's passed, and sort of it's cool to carry on her legacy. So it's sort of a way, I think, for both my friends and my fans to get to know me in a way that I don't necessarily publish on Facebook. So it's a little more of like, who is Andii, rather than like, here's my show. So I post that on there too, but I also post lots of pictures of my cat. So.
We have cats, and we posted a few, and then a few people who follow us and have their own shows that we try to like promote. We're like, does your cat have an Instagram? I'm like, my cat is a cat. He's not a sentient enough being to have fucking internet. No, he doesn't have an Instagram.
My friend's ugly boss, so
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to jump on board with that. I have a couple friends that have like Instagram accounts for their cats, and I'm like, you know, you do you. I'll follow your cat, but like, I don't think I can make that leap.
You know what would be the best Instagram account? And I'll have to look it up now. Pet rocks. You know why? They never fucking die. You can take pictures until you die. That rock will outlast you. Fuck you. Forever Instagram account.
I'm sure
that is a great idea. And if it is not done, you should definitely strike while the iron is hot.
Mineral AF.
Minerals AF. And kudos to you and the gardening thing. We currently rent a place, and we don't have allotted space to garden. The place we used to live, we had gardening space, and our kids loved it, and we planted things, and it was very cathartic, and it was wonderful. So we've been doing, like, pot planting. These fucking squirrels in our neighborhood have eaten all our seeds, Andii.
Oh man, yeah. See, I'll be totally honest with you. I started from seed. I started so many seedlings, and I just could not get it down this year. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll just wait until greenhouse season. I'll go and I'll get my plants that way. So that's how I did it this year, just because this is my first year ever really properly gardening. I've done some like indoor potted plants here and there. Never really followed through. I'm more of like a house plant person. So, like decorative plants, ivy and things like that are really easy to keep alive. But I just, recently really started to develop a passion for growing my own food. And so I decided it's all in the ground. If it all dies, I at least tried this year,
Right.
and I'll do better next year. So.
Well, high five to you, because
Internet high five.
internet high five. Because we're doing that. We first planted moonflowers. The squirrels ate those. So then we went and we planted our pepper seeds. And I don't think the squirrels have been in the pot since.
Well, cucumbers.
Nice.
Oh, cucumbers. We have peppers in the cabinet. Sorry, cucumbers. But
Nice. My cucumber's looking rough.
oh
Like,
no.
so sad. We had like a terrible storm yesterday, and I think it's done for.
Ah.
Like so.
Yeah, over for Mother's Day, one of my sons gave me, what were they? Pansies that they planted in school. And so when they came to me, they were just like green little stems, and they've really blossomed. Like, this is the first year out of all the Mother's Day gifts I've gotten that the flowers opened, nobody ate them, the storms didn't kill them, but we did over the night get like a lot of rain, and they like all flopped over, and it was like, oh
Oh no!
no. So
That's so awesome, though. That like they blossomed and everything. That's so sweet.
I was super stoked because every year these kids have planted something like, here, Mom, because they always do a poem like, you helped me grow because. But this year,
Aw.
they actually grew, and he was quite proud of his little plants. And so
That's great. That's so sweet.
our goal is to eventually be able to have our own plot of land where we can do those things and like contribute to the well-being of the environment, because plants equal oxygen, people.
Yes, they do.
Music
Yeah,
for your soul,
I totally
plants
looked
for
out
your
where I live.
air. We are at the top of the hour, Andii, so I want to again let you just plug again your most upcoming events so that people can see you live, and then again merch and the platforms on which you want to direct people, just to close out as a summary.
Yes, I can go through those. Yeah, so I'm going to be at the Up and Under on Brady Street in Milwaukee tomorrow, Friday, June 14th, at 10 p.m. I'm opening. And then next week, Friday, I'm going to be all around the city
Yes.
doing Make Music Day. And you can find the specifics of that, the segue, on my Facebook page. I'm going to be posting all of the locations I'm going to be on the 21st. I'm also obviously have an event for the show tomorrow. And then I also have an event for Summerfest. I'll be playing at the ground floor stage. My first set there is going to be on the 26th of June at, I believe, 5 o'clock. So yeah, you can find all that information on Facebook. You can also, if you fancy, you can find me on Instagram. I am on Bandcamp as well, where you can find and purchase and stream my 2016 EP. And whenever you come to see me, you will get free stickers that say I'm not a spoon-fed woman.
Even if you spoon feed yourself.
Yes.
So, a final question, because you had mentioned that you're kind of going to do the Where's Andii thing. When you do that, are you going to post that on Instagram, or are you going to do a live short video on Facebook?
That one will largely be through Facebook, just because that's, I think, the platform that most people interact with during Summerfest. That's the platform that the ground floor stage operates through. So I think it's just going to be mainly a Facebook thing. I might do, follow-up posts on Instagram, but in terms of, following me up to date live, I'm just going to be doing the Facebook app.
So I challenge you for next Friday for Make Music Day, people. What you should do is a trial run, because you are going to be so many places. You should just do a short video like, come find me here. Just to see if it works.
That's actually a phenomenal idea. I did not think about that.
Ah.
Yeah, I should give her a test run.
Just do it. Just do it and see what happens. Just because, hell, that's a really cool thing. Like, we have an event that day, and we didn't even know that was a thing. So now I'm going to tell the coordinator of the event that thing, so hopefully we can all start to, link and make that more of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys should start a Make Music Day chapter in Racine. That would be so awesome. Because they're all over, all the cities.
Yes. So is that a page? So if anybody wanted to register their event for that, is there a specific place that you can do that so you can pop up on?
Yeah, so right now, if you go to makemusicday.org/Milwaukee, I think is what it is. That is the matchmaking site for all the Milwaukee area venues. So you can go on there and you can register as a venue, or you can go on there and register as a performer. And then they match you up with, you can even look through and just request yourself if there's a venue that you want to play at. But makemusicday.org is the best place to go.
Thank you, because I'm going to definitely share that with the coordinator, because I know that she'll be totally bananas about it. But Andii, thank you so much for doing this phone interview. And
no, thank you. I'm glad it worked out. I'm sorry that my car is MIA.
That's all right. I encourage you. We have a few dates left for Union Park Tavern. So if you are available for any of those because you couldn't physically come on tonight, if you wanted to have an opportunity to, play your music and be recorded live for our show, we do have that opportunity now as well. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I will definitely look into that.
I encourage you as well, any event that you have, feel free to post it on our page, send us an invite, and we'll always share them. And any merch that you come up with, take a picture and post it for our hashtag Merch Monday. So.
Awesome. That's great. You guys are the best.
Thanks, Andii. It was great talking to you.
It was wonderful talking to you guys.
So I'm excited to play your stuff because Tuesday, Spoon-Fed Women went over very well. And so after a short break, we're going to play the information or the music that is available on Bandcamp. And then again, we will play Spoon-Fed Women. Again, if you missed it on Tuesday, you'll be able to hear it here. So Andii, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Andii. She is a singer-songwriter from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. She also, I think, and didn't mention this, has a YouTube as well. She just played Pride Fest Up and Under on Friday at 10 o'clock. She's going to play. And then next week for Make Music Day, the 21st, she'll be around Milwaukee playing there. And then on the 26th as well at Summerfest, she will be transitioning later on in the summer to play as a full band come the end of August to release that single, which you will be able to hear here tonight. So again, Andii, go ahead, find that. We're linked to it via our page. That's also probably one of the quickest ways to find things. If you're on a desktop, on the side, usually on the right-hand side of the screen, it says pages this page likes. You're able to find all of the bands that we've had on the show or have submitted music or venues or artists or anything linked on that side panel there. So again, thank you. Stick around. After a short break, we're going to play her music. And with that, it's pie break. Okay?
Thanks. Bye.